the folks on Facebook and Twitter. Also, if you're watching on Twitch or on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, you can also do that. And if Instagram is not working for you, but I'm now super stoked to introduce to all of you Chelsea Byers, who
Hi.
is hello, who is running as a candidate for city council in West Hollywood. So it's exciting for me to have her here because a lot of people in LA don't live in West Hollywood, even though we're all in the mix. But it's,
That's right.
it's different. It's different places. But so this conversation is for you. If you live in WeHo, if you love in WeHo, if you
Hmm.
party in WeHo, if you have friends in WeHo, we're in this together. So it's important that all of us, get to know other amazing people that are running for office. Chelsea, hi.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm so excited to be doing this with you.
Me too. And finally, it happened. I feel like it's been years in the
You know,
making, by the way.
it feels like that. Yeah. I mean, you and I got to be a part of an election together with running for assembly delegate in California. I was unsuccessful, but you were very successful. So I'm really glad to be back in this place, trying my hand again at elected office. Very different context than being a delegate for the California Party, but you certainly know how to get the job done. So it feels really great to be doing this with you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I mean, city council to being a delegate for the Democratic Party is a whole other different ball
Mhm.
game.
Mhm.
So I would like to just start by asking you to tell us a little bit of your personal story, who you are, and for the people that don't know you,
Yeah.
I don't know if you support Chelsea, put some hearts in the comments, por favor.
Thank you.
But if you don't know Chelsea, would you tell us a little bit about who you are
Yeah,
and
thank you.
how you got here?
Sure. So I grew up in Arizona to a working class family. My dad works in construction in Arizona. Still at 58 years old to this day, he's helping people's dream homes become created. My brother does that work alongside him as well now. My younger brother. My mom is a survivor of domestic violence, and so between the two experiences, my dad working in construction and my mom's impact around being a domestic violence survivor, I grew up really understanding a sense of injustice growing up as a kid. We didn't have healthcare as a family. We often felt under-resourced. My parents did everything to make my childhood and my home life really beautiful and abundant. And there was this underlying feeling of scarcity
Yeah.
that sort of always was chasing us. I talk about going to job sites with my dad often, a man who worked in construction. My Saturdays and summers, I grew up on job sites helping haul buckets of grout around and sweep floors and things like that for my dad. So I got to see people's dream homes get created. I knew how important the community that I was a part of was to other people as well. Folks who were falling on hard times or needed a place to stay always felt safe at my home. And in 2008, in the financial crisis, we ended up losing our home. So my parents are renters now in Arizona. Their rent goes up every single year, and they're feeling that same sense of scarcity and limitation once again. Because of these experiences as a kid, I got really involved in my community. I always wanted to help people. I was that super volunteer showing up to all the community events that I could. I got involved in organizing. What the extension of volunteerism looks like is sort of organizing around issues that impact people. I learned how to formally community organize, get people engaged in issues that mattered, help them get connected to their voice on my campus in high school, and then even more so in college when I got to work with groups like the Arizona Students Association and helped mobilize thousands of students to get engaged in higher education in the state of Arizona. So all of these life experiences from a really early age helped form me into this person that has a vision for a different way of people being able to have a different quality of life, being able to have the resources that they need that are life affirming in their communities, not just tools for devastation that we see so often. So I got really thrust into anti-war activism as well. That was a huge part of my life, challenging the military-industrial complex and the extent of violence that we see upheld and enabled through our communities. And I'm really proud of a lot of that work I did to challenge ongoing warfare, and here in the United States and in countries abroad. Because it's all about where we dedicate our budgets, right? Where we put our precious resources for people. So
Yeah.
that's sort of what brings me to the point of wanting to run for city council in a place like West Hollywood that has tremendous resources and tremendous capacity to care for people. And I want to make sure that we're using those resources well, because we have the opportunity to care for so many people. You mentioned not only people who live in West Hollywood, but people who play here, people who come to love, and enjoy their nights here. We need to make sure that we're doing everything we can to care for that whole community really well. And I think there's so much that we can continue to do here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad that you told us. I think a lot of us can relate to this feeling, that no matter how much we do, it's never enough
Mm-hmm.
in so many ways,
Mm-hmm.
in a capitalist productive way where
Yeah.
you just need to keep producing more and more and more and more and more in a consumerist society also. So I'm so glad that you touch upon those points. Those are, important. We have a few people watching in all of our channels, and I would like to ask you that a if you have any friends in West Hollywood, if you can tag them and let them know that we're talking to Chelsea so they can get to know her better. Or you can go here on Instagram, the little triangle next to the comment box, and send it to a few friends. So think about your best friends in WeHo. We know you love it. And send this live stream to them so that we can have a better. Okay. So Marsha is saying she lives in WeHo and there's so many homeless people.
Mm.
Well, Marsha, ask your question. We're here
And
to answer.
And Marcia, to that point, there are many unhoused people living all across the county. It's really unfortunate. I think everybody sees and feels this as an impact in their day-to-day life, especially for the people who are unhoused themselves. This is a tremendous, thing that we want to transform in big ways. Some good news is that the recent point in time count that West Hollywood conducted alongside the rest of the county showed that because of the amazing programs that West Hollywood has here in the city, things are actually working really well, and we're getting more unhoused people off the streets than we see happen in other municipalities. So it's really good news. It proves that the programs are working. We know that, compassion-driven solutions, things like getting outreach workers to connect with unhoused people, get them, equipped with the things that they were missing. Maybe they didn't have IDs. Maybe they were missing, an application to their housing place. Maybe they didn't know where services existed. All of those things help get people on the right track to get them what they need. And we need housing ultimately for
Yeah.
people to live in. We can't solve homelessness without making sure that people have a place to go and call their own at the end of the day. So we're seeing that that's working as well. And there's amazing solutions coming out here in West Hollywood with the Holloway Motel that's being purchased by the city and with state funding. The first time we'll ever see, transitional housing within the city limits of West Hollywood. That's a huge innovation that we're going to be launching soon, and many more other, exciting program innovations. So we're on the right track, and more good things to come. It's really great.
Incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So some folks are asking, and I'm gonna let you, because I don't want to forget this question.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you answer, but later on, I would love to hear more about your platform and
Yeah.
your ideas for WeHo. And people are asking the essence of these questions. This question is public safety.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, this individual, his friend got held up. I'm assuming at gunpoint or
Mm-hmm.
something. I'm not sure, but I'm assuming. And phones is stolen from a cafe. So I think the core question here is, what are you doing, or what are you thinking about doing in terms of public safety, and how do you balance that in a moment in history where we see our law enforcement getting so much of a big chunk of our pie chart
Mm-hmm.
and our budget. So it's a reality. So what do you tell this person asking this question?
Yeah, I mean, look, safety in our community is of the utmost importance to me. I'm somebody who wants to make sure I can walk home safely every night. I work in community of survivors of violence, in many forms, domestic violence, sexual violence, people who don't often also get the benefit of the support from law enforcement systems too. So I have a very different angle about the resources that we need to keep communities safe. For crimes that, this individual sounds like they're speaking of, we know that cell phone theft in West Hollywood did see a big increase over the summer. And what the, sheriff's department said after much investigation, resources, and time was that this was, a big operation, that, a group of people were committed committing. It was an operation, though. It wasn't just sort of many one-off situations. And in fact, after locating some of the main culprits in that, it seems like that situation has changed for the better, that cell phones aren't being stolen in the same rates they were earlier this summer. And crime, in fact, in West Hollywood has gone down. The sheriff's department put out a new report in just the last few months about August crime statistics, and they're down. So that's a good thing. The resources that we have for the sheriff at this point in time are working. And the allocation that the city made over the summer, this decision to reallocate services, it actually extends public safety resources into the community in a new way. We have more unarmed security ambassadors providing a public safety presence in community.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was just spent 2 days in Plummer Park helping, engage with voters and talk to folks. And security ambassadors are, walking around the park, making sure that people are okay, that, if they have needs, that they can be met. If there's just trash, also, the security ambassadors are picking them up. They're really great assets to the community, doing a lot of good. And the fact that they're unarmed, I think, is also valuable, right? Because not everybody feels safe with law enforcement in the form of sheriff deputies that we typically have. So we have to have this really complex, web of solutions when it comes to how we keep communities safe. Right now, we know that people are, just don't have their basic needs met, right? Poverty drives crime in so many ways, unfortunately. And if we're not,
and lack of resources
yes,
too.
exactly. So until we are meeting people's basic needs as a society at large, crime as something that we can do in a one-off community like West Hollywood, it just doesn't work that way, unfortunately. So that's why I'm, as somebody who's always championing social services, right? Programs that can help get more direct services to people as part of that solution for community safety.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And that this is a great segue to talk more in depth about
Mm-hmm.
your platform, which I want people that are watching the live stream to walk away with ideas that so many of our local leaders like Chelsea are putting forward to make our communities better.
Mm-hmm.
And know how I'm speaking about it, because this is not just an LA issue or West Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we need to elect Chelsea to the WeHo City Council, obviously. But this is really about how we together are gonna better
Mm-hmm.
our community, because all these cities, Culver City, even Glendale, we're all coexisting together. And I think the issue, even the unhoused place,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to understanding a much more global issue that
That's
we're
right.
facing. So if you can tell us, how you're planning to tackle these issues. That's what your platform is about.
That's right.
You're telling us your vision. So we would love to hear what
Yeah.
you have.
I mean, look, I'm a young
Yeah.
person who's been thinking about climate change for the last few decades nonstop, right? And what I often feel like, as somebody who's also tried to get more people engaged in issues, is that we too often miss the opportunities to solve big issues like climate change at the local level. I challenge that we wouldn't be in the same situation we would be if cities have played their part for decades and decades, but we don't see that happening. Things like housing can change the conversation when it comes to climate change and how we can address that at a local level. Places like West Hollywood, this 1.9 square miles, in the midst of the larger Los Angeles, we absolutely can be building housing here and doing so in a way that meets our climate responsibilities. We can have, just smart building, native landscaping, and, we don't need lawns everywhere, right? There can be so many different ways that we can meet our climate needs through our ability to develop in our community. Those two things don't have to be compromising each other. Another part of that is transforming the way we get around our community. Again,
Yeah.
we're 1.9 square miles as a community. So the thing I always talk about is how we fix our transportation network. Right now, we're way too car dependent as a community. Most people in Los Angeles, 50% of people are traveling 3 miles or less. That is their daily commute. And if we can get those 50% or a good chunk of them out of their vehicles and onto bikes or even buses to do that commuting differently, then we're going to be meeting, massive climate goals as a community. So I want to see West Hollywood make sure that we can build these protected bike lanes as a community, right? Young people I'm meeting at the doors time and time again are asking for them. They're not showing up in West Hollywood like I did without a car. They live here like I do without a vehicle. They try to get around on our scooters or, have a bike, but It's challenging to
Yes.
keep a bike because our apartment buildings, too often don't have safekeeping and safe storage for our bikes. So people's bikes get stolen, and here we go. We become car dependent again. So those are some things I want to address and tackle in the lens of climate change and how cities can be, responsible players in meeting these climate needs.
Yeah, I think you're doing something right, because I see in the comments people loving you,
Okay.
and people saying that they want to get you in the city council. Go, go, go. Yeah, so you're getting. I love that people are getting, this reaction from you, because this
Hmm.
is really, telling. A lot of people also, and I don't usually ask these questions when I do my get to know the candidate, because I like to keep it very, like, who you are, what are you going to do for us, like your platform, and what a city council member does, which I think is something that we can talk
Hmm.
also. But can we talk about it from a lens of being females?
Yeah,
And this
definitely.
comment, if you're on Facebook, you're looking at this comment that Marco posted, and it says, "So happy to see you all providing a platform and holding space for each other
Mm.
in such way. Your legit political personalities and your message are a force, and I will get behind." So, this
Thanks,
really
Marco.
speaks about, like female leadership, in
Yes.
my opinion. And as someone that has a lot of masculine energy, I can have like those traits.
Hmm.
I'm a very feminine woman, and and for me, it's been so revolutionary to think about leadership in a way that is joyful, that is
Hmm.
better for the environment, that is
Yes.
better for our planet, that it can be ecological too, and that also aligns with our true essence, or our, real essence.
Hmm.
And I wanted you to tell us what a city council member does from a lens of being a woman,
Sure.
especially the two of us that are sharing this special moment together.
Sure. I know this is really special. It's always so powerful to connect with women, especially women who know what it feels like to be in the context of an election as a woman, right? And I know you know that very well. I see the role of the city council member really is to make sure that we have a budget that meets the community's needs, and ultimately, make decisions around land use. Those are big power responsibilities that you have as a city council member. I think there's a couple under sort of not named in responsibility things that you have to think about as a city council member, and that's how you bring community together, right?
Mhm.
It's not enough just to be somebody who has an agenda, who can cram that agenda through, because that doesn't work that way. We're a city council of 5 people. 3 people have to be the majority vote to get anything passed. I don't have a district. I don't represent just one place in West Hollywood. I represent everybody here, and
Uh-huh.
and the community that benefits from West Hollywood being in their life as well. So I have to think about so many different people and stakeholders. And in that way, I think, the way I think about myself as a feminist in an office, right? Eventually, hopefully, but certainly as a feminist candidate, it's how I bring people together and the work I do to educate people, to bring people up, to not make any assumptions about where people are coming from, and to also not just try to project or assert my vision onto the community, but really co-create this community that we're all sharing and living in. And I'd say part of that, essentially, and what makes it, I think, a feminist vision, is holding space for the people who aren't yet a part of this community in
Yes.
so many ways, right?
So
I think
important.
about that, especially in context of one of the things I talked about, housing. Right? We're not going to think about who we need to build housing for if we're expecting them to be the people to show up in the room advocating for it. They don't live here yet. They don't live in that building yet. So we have to hold a seat open in that way. We have to know that people are going to be born into our city and that their voices matter and what their needs are matter to the city. So I think in that way, I'm a very feminist candidate. I sort of hold space for the future and help co-create the path to get there.
Wow, that was great. Thank you so much, Chelsea. Like,
Yeah.
I am so jazzed right now to just have this conversation with you, because, as I said, we've been trying to get a live stream going for so long.
Hmm.
I was so excited to learn when you told me that you were thinking about running, and we need more women in leadership. In my humble opinion, nothing wrong with men, but it's our time. I think let us handle it and see how
Yeah.
we do.
West Hollywood's a pro-choice city too, right? So we are founded on these principles of inclusivity, of pro-choice, of feminism. We're a sanctuary city. We truly say, no matter who you are, you're welcome in this place. But
Yeah.
if we don't have the policies that make that possible, right? If we don't physically make the space for people to be here, then those policies only look good and shiny on paper, and they don't really benefit anybody's life in the long run. So I think that's something we need to hold, especially in the context of this election cycle that we're in.
Yeah, absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. I want to ask you about running as, being a candidate,
Mm-hmm.
being a woman candidate, being a young woman candidate, being an attractive woman candidate, being a very
Mm-hmm.
smart, so all of the things that you embody. If you can tell us a little bit about what is your best part, like the part that you love most about running for office.
Yeah, it's honestly just such a privilege and an honor to get to talk to people every day about the things that they're concerned about or are dreaming of, and to feel like I can be a part of the puzzle to solve. It feels like such an amazing opportunity to get to go out. And, just this weekend, I spent all day yesterday and Saturday out in the community, sitting at Plummer Park, talking to voters, knocking doors of people on the east side of town. And it was just amazing to get to, kind of disturb somebody in the middle of their Sunday. They certainly weren't expecting to open the door and see a candidate for office standing there. But when I say,
Mhm.
introduce myself, ask what their issues are, to hear that back and to have people feel like something can change, that we can actually make a difference. We're exchanging cell phone numbers. We're like making plans to get together in the future and do amazing things. Like, that is such an honor to get to do.
Yeah.
And it's hard work. It's exhausting, sure, but I don't even think about that. It's just so energizing to be out there, issue after issue, conversation after conversation. I'm learning, I'm growing. And I think we're all better as a community for that work too. So I just can't say it enough. It's such a privilege to get to do this work at all. And to be somebody entrusted by the community to carry our shared vision forward. It's a real honor.
I feel that 100%.
Mm-hmm.
When I ran for office, I also used to love being with the community and
Mm-hmm.
planning and doing
Amazing.
events and learning from them is so magical. It really restores the humanity in me for sure in
Mm-hmm.
those days. So I'm glad.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right, it's extremely difficult. And I want to ask you, what are some of like the most difficult things for you
Yeah.
to be a candidate? But I want to give a big shout out to my housemate, Brandon. I think he is in the house watching this live stream. So I want to
Hey,
wish him a
Brandon.
happy birthday. It's his birthday today, fellow Virgo. We're in Virgo season. So
It's
just
my
a little,
campaign manager's birthday also. So shout out to Jonathan. Happy birthday,
there you go.
Jonathan.
Jonathan, happy birthday. All right. All the Virgos, put a heart in the comments. If you have a Virgo friend,
There
get
we
him in
go.
here. We love them. But I wanted to ask you how difficult for you is being to run for office. What are the most difficult aspects of running for office?
Sure. I think for me, the one of the difficult parts is helping people understand who I am and what I'm all about, right? I've lived a long life. For somebody who's 32, I started getting involved in my community and having impact from a very early age. I've grown tremendously from so many of those experiences.
For
And
sure.
I think it's hard for people to see so much experience, so much growth, um, packed into such a small amount of years on the planet compared to what people's expectations of a candidate are. And I think that's
Yeah.
part of the challenge. It's not something that's personal to me, it's something collective that young people often experience, which is this sort of idea that you aren't ready, you don't know enough, that you aren't able to jump into a position like this and hit the ground running. And that's just not true. I think being young has so many aspect or value adds to that. And for me, it's been a challenge to overcome in some ways. It's also a huge positive for a lot of people. A lot of people are really happy to see someone young, see a young woman, but misogyny is very real. There's a lot of
Yeah.
assumptions that just get hurled in my direction because I'm a woman. I
Hmm.
get played like I'm a child. We've heard things like, this isn't student government. And it's really
Yeah.
frustrating and sort of demoralizing because those are attacks that I can get over. I don't take them personally. I take it as a toxic way that politics have gone for so long, but I worry and I'm concerned about the way it's going to inhibit somebody else from getting involved.
Yeah.
Right. And so, in the way that I can challenge that, push back against it, be a meaningful leader in the right direction, that's useful because it helps bring more people into the space who would otherwise be kept out from that sort of rhetoric. And that is just dangerous to democracy. It's misogynistic, it's ageist, it's sexist, it's all these things, but ultimately it's a detriment to democracy. And I don't think anybody who supports the idea that 18-year-olds can vote, 25-year-olds can run for a House of Representatives, 35-year-olds can run for president should be telling anybody when they're ready to get involved in elected office. But that
Right.
tone comes out too often, and I think to the detriment of our ability to collaborate as a community well.
Absolutely, absolutely agree. And nowadays that we see, more young people getting involved,
Hmm.
is really our opportunity to support them, to highlight what they do, to to be there in be part of this process that is so necessary,
Yeah.
which is that we need people that represent all of our groups in society, not
Hmm.
just for a long time was men, wealthy lawyers, and now we need more nurses, we need more teachers, we need more
That's right.
mothers in office, we need young people, we need people of color in office, so I hope that our conversation has maybe helped some folks think about, how they can rethink about how one looks, and not
Hmm.
judge them by their looks, but by their
That's right.
actions. So, all right. So I think lastly, I wanted to ask you. A lot of people make like really amazing comments. So thank you
I know,
everyone for
so
being
nice.
awesome, being awesome. And I want to ask you, and I want to put it here in a banner, and you're about to see it in YouTube, on Twitch, on Twitter, and on Facebook. This is how you can get in touch with Chelsea. But Chelsea, tell us what are some of the good things that we can do to support you.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, West Hollywood is a small but mighty community. So many people know this because it's a place that they come to enjoy in their life. And I think in the way that West Hollywood matters to you, this election matters to you then. It absolutely does, right? We're talking about transportation being on the line, the ability to have protected bike lanes in community or not, the ability to see, more housing built in a thoughtful way across community or not. And I think these things matter to voters, whether you're in West Hollywood or people who care about West Hollywood, whether you're a voter here or not. So I want to say that your ability to get involved with this campaign is tremendous. You can make a contribution, of course. We're not part of the Los Angeles situation where dollars get matched. I have to raise every single dollar,
Yeah.
and it's competitive in West Hollywood. Some folks raise a lot of money for this small city, so that gets really challenging. And what that those dollars do is help us reach voters. Ultimately, I said one of the big challenges I'm experiencing is how to tell my story in a way that I can bottle up and connect with voters right away.
Hmm.
We do that by knocking doors, by making phone calls, sending texts, putting mail into people's mailboxes, and also just being able to spend time out in community with folks. So if you're able to come down and spend a Saturday or Sunday, knocking doors with us, phone banking with us on the evenings, that would be amazing. It would be so cool. And honestly, it's really fun to get to talk to folks in West Hollywood about the things that they care about. There's a lot of amazing things happening here. And it's just sort of a joy to hear what the context looks like for people in other cities. We're all one big, massive
Yeah.
community, but all these different pockets sort of matter. So I'd say come out and get involved.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So I'm putting the website Chelsea four, the number four, and
That's
then
right.
weho.com. This is how you can find her. And I just want to emphasize this because I was actually just talking to a friend about this, and he was asking me, Aura, when you run for office, I'll be, all in to support you. And I would say, oh, amazing. And I would say, have you thought about what to do? And he gave me like four different things. So don't think that there is only one way to support Chelsea. This is the teaching of the story. He told me, maybe I can advise you about policy regarding this specific issue. You know, maybe I can go door knocking, but that's not really my thing. But maybe I can do the tax banking thing. And this one was the best one. I said, have you ever been to some of those meet and greets? Those are really sweet. You get your neighbors, you get a few bottles of wine. It's like throwing a party, but inviting an elected official. Guys, let's do it. Let's have a good time. Let's support Chelsea. If you have friends in WeHo, maybe you can tell them, I'm going to come by. I'm going to connect with Chelsea. Bring her in here. We have some wines and crackers, and let's get to know her better. So many other ways to get involved than you think of. So I hope that you are all compelled to support Chelsea, whether it's throwing a meet and greet for her or donating directly to her campaign. And I believe it's Chelsea number four, weho.com. I'll post it with this video in my Instagram. Also, come volunteer, come door knocking, tell your friends, send that email to your WeHo homies, and let's get it going. All right, Chelsea. Last words from you.
My gardener next door, my house is getting loud, so I don't know if you can even hear me anymore in the background, but I'm just grateful. This is amazing. Getting to connect with other people is so energizing for me along the campaign trail. So Auda, thank you so much for making this opportunity possible. I think climate is the thing that we share as a focus, no matter where we are, where we're living. And I'm trying to focus on that here in West Hollywood. So in the ways that you can help me do that, thank you for giving me the energy today to keep going forward. And thanks for all you do for community too. You're amazing, and we need to support all that you continue to do. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Of
All
course.
right. Thank you, Chelsea, and you have
Bye.
an amazing day. Bye.
Bye bye.
So there we go. That was Chelsea, and she's running for city council in WeHo. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. I know you know that I host these conversations once a week, and I invite other people running for office. So if you have someone that is running for office and you would like me to interview them or just like kind of share a conversation, just don't hesitate and let me know who they are. And for now, I will see you again on Thursday at 5 p.m. In all my social media channels again. We're going to be speaking with the mayor of Culver City, and his name is Alex Fish. And I'm actually super excited to talk to him because there's so much going on in Culver City that I want to learn more about. And I'm glad that you guys are all going to join our combo and send your questions. All right, friends, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful beginning of your week and rest of your week. I see you all on Thursday. And don't forget, no matter what you do, get involved. Bye, guys.